Alright guys, y'all have been asking for it and I have been promising it. We are finally doing our in-depth review of the Somogear Peq-15. Now, I know a lot of guys out there are going to give me crap. One, for my 511 tactical build that everyone makes fun of course, but also because I'm running airsoft grade lasers with IR for my night vision rig. But there is a good reason for this. Now, you need a little bit of backstory to fully understand what the Somogear is all about. The Somogear rating of airsoft is simply because there are regulations involved with bringing in equipment from China into other countries. So in order for these guys to essentially skirt and avoid any kind of, we'll call it legal issues, they have to market their stuff as airsoft only. Now, I actually had a problem with one of mine and I reached out to him and let him know. I was like, hey, I got this, I mounted it specifically on this gun here, the SIG TAC-Ops M13 300 Blackout. And on the GBRS, I actually had an issue where the mounting plate for the bottom on the Picatinny adapter, I over-torqued it because I'm used to torquing usually 20-30 pounds. And when I did that, it literally stripped the plastic on the bottom. And I know y'all are gonna hate that immediately. Oh, it's trash, it's absolutely trash. No, it's a knurled screw and it's not designed to be torqued. That was an issue on me. But nevertheless, I reached out to Somogear and I was trying to explain the situation and they assured me they're going to send me a replacement lower part for it, the actual mounting block. I'll be able to hot swap it, not a big deal. Currently it is JB welded into place and I've had zero issues with it, aside from one drop on the last range day when we actually tried to film this and that JB weld kind of just snapped off. But I've put it through some ringers. I've done a lot of ammo dumps since then and it's done pretty well. So that's kind of a little bit about it. But when I was talking with the guys over at Somogear, one of the most important things he told me was, he's like, I can't help you if you put this on real steel. So if you put this on real steel, don't tell me about it. Please just leave that alone. We can't talk about that. So he's acknowledging that folks are doing it, but he needs to be very careful. So if you reach out to him and ask him, because you may want to get it in writing that you can put it on real steel, you're not going to get that answer. That answer is going to be exclusively, this is for airsoft. Now, we're waiting for the sun to go down here at the range. We've got a mission recorder that I've shown you on a couple shorts that are going to be capturing what I see as well as what the cameraman sees. So the cameraman's going to be wearing the mission recorder on a PVS-14 and be able to capture what's going on downrange. You're going to see how the illuminator looks. We're going to look and see how the laser looks. We're going to look and see a difference between a couple different things, and here I'm going to talk about them now. So one of the things that we've got that we're going to be taking a look at is this Perst 4 clone. This is another one of those knockoff airsoft things. It's currently situated on my MP5, and honestly, it's a well-built device. I absolutely love the functionality of how it fits this actual build. We've got the button right here on the back, so when I want to engage it, my thumb's already there, and I'm able to do it so quickly. But with this particular thing, this rail by B&T, this B&T tri-aluminum rail, it has a little bit of wobble to it. That little bit of wobble has been my absolute nemesis when I try to zero this thing, because this wobble will not let you zero a laser on it. So it's not the fault of the laser, so I can't discredit it as of yet, but I did have major zero hold issues. I did talk to one other guy on Reddit, I believe it was, who informed me he had just gotten the same Perst 4 from Sotac and had zero issues. It's a little bit complex to zero because you have to go up and then over, then back up again, because as you go up and over, or over and down, you hit walls. But once you hit that wall, if you start going in the opposite direction, then the wall breaks and you're able to go back again. So you can't just go all the way over, all the way up. You actually have to step it. As long as you know those limitations, it's not so bad. But again, on the MP5, I've had a pretty rough time. So tonight we're also going to be taking a look at some illuminator comparisons, because the illuminator is what a lot of folks are truly interested in when it comes to full power devices. Full power laser is really neat and it's a fun toy, but I don't necessarily want to get free LASIK while I'm out at the range. And for this fact that these guys are actually marketing these as airsoft things, when you're doing force on force in an airsoft world at night with full power laser beams just blasting through the sky, you've got a lot to worry about. You're going to worry about your tubes. You're going to worry about your eyesight. You're going to worry about the animals in the area. It's a dangerous situation. So full power lasers, they're a great tool if you're in a situation where you need them. But even when I'm running these things in my backyard, blinking at night, I'm not even running full power anymore. I keep it on the low power setting. It still gives me a laser beam because of the humidity in our area. But, you know, it's not about the full power laser that really matters for me. It's about the illuminator. The illuminator is able to reach out to distances that are just super far away, and we're able to get target IDs without much of an issue. So what we have is a full power Peq-2A. The Peq-2A is the real thing. It is not the Somogear, though Somogear does make one. We're going to be running that and showing you what the illuminator looks like. We're going to show you a comparison of the lasers side by side. And then, of course, we're going to be running it in comparison as well to the Perst 4 from Sotac, just to show you. And y'all have seen this in a short already. It does cast a pretty big flood, so you almost get a wash effect, especially going against the suppressor here. We get a very dirty cast when it's on full power. It's cool, it laser beams, it lights up everything a mile away, whatever, but it's just not sensible because you are literally blinding yourself and what you can do. So just some background on what we've done so far. We have been running this setup for a good bit now. I've been running it with a 22 long rifle conversion kit for most of the rounds. In fact, it's probably over 2,000 rounds now with just 22. With 223 and the Peq-15 from Somogear installed, we're roughly 400 or 500 rounds on this device. When it comes to the M13 for 300 blackout, this particular Peq-15 has only been on this gun, on this GBRS, and it's probably seen roughly 300 to 400 now for 300 blackout. That includes subs, that includes supers. From the super standpoint, we're talking about 125 grain AAC ammo. We're running 150 grain reloads that I call Dustin's Pissin' Hot reloads because they make this thing jam like crazy. Even though we case checked them and everything was fine, the gun don't like them. In fact, that's what I've got here, so we're not going to run those tonight. But nevertheless, I've also thrown them onto the MP5. We've ran less than probably 10 mags, so we'll just say 200 rounds of 9mm through the Peq. And I've had zero issues with zero holding. And that is going to be the big question that a lot of you guys have is, does it hold zero? But again, the one thing I would challenge back to you about what my area concerns are is it does feel a little cheap. But if you've ever held a real Peq-15, they also feel cheap. It's the same kind of polymer, nylon, plastic thing. It's not made of metal, and neither is the real one. The covers, they're just that. These are just covers that are making sure that you're not accidentally discharging a full power laser. They do not provide any diffusion. On your illuminator here, again, just a cover. It doesn't have any kind of diffusion. And then you've just got a focus knob that is giving you some kind of focusability for it, but not a whole lot. And we're going to cover that a little bit because one of the big concerns folks have is how wide can you get from a close range? And from my experience, it's pretty okay on the latest editions. We're seeing maybe an 8-foot spread at 50 yards. We get my entire barn when I'm at 100 yards, so that's probably about a 20-foot spread. And when I throw it all the way across the field at about 300 yards, it's probably about a 50 to 100-foot spread. So it's got real good reason. We have a known distant range tonight, so we're going to be able to see that and give you a clear answer. So without further ado, let's wait for dark and get to it. All right, and I'm on red, so I am recording. All right, guys, we have finally made it to nightfall. So right now we are recording on the mission recorder from the cameraman. He's wearing a PVS 14 Gen 3 green phosphor, so we're not using any white phosphor. We're not using any filters tonight. We have about a quarter moon, half moon coming up tonight at some point, but we are still just at the brink where colors kind of disappeared, and we're really focused on just getting some stuff downrange while we still have usable light before we get into pitch black conditions. And then, all right, guys, so let's take a look and see how this looks downrange. So just for reference, this is the Surefire Vampire, and this is the Somogear Peq-15. Currently we are on high illuminator and high laser. Let's see what it looks like. We're gonna send 2 shots real quick down into that ID target. We'll keep moving. Now, one of the earlier problems that they had seen with the Peq-15s from Somogear was that the illuminator, 1, wouldn't quite zero with your laser, and 2, which you can still see it's not perfectly zeroed, and 2, it just wouldn't get quite wide enough. But as you can see, we're probably 35 yards from that ID target. So if that's a person 35 yards out, it's well enough, large enough, spread enough that we're able to see and identify that target pretty clearly. So we'll get a little closer here. We'll go back and engage again. And there's one of the problems. So right now, well, there it goes. Some people have had problems with their Somogear intermittently turning off under recoil. They blame the electronics, but the electronics are potted, but the actual issue seems to be the tape switch on the back of the Peq-15 comes unplugged. So we just kind of give it a little bump and it was a little loose, and now it's back in action. Now remember, the target that we've been approaching this whole time is the ID target. These things are made out of a rubber, so it's not going to splash back at you. So even here, when we're close range, we've got no issues at all. We can keep shooting and shooting and shooting, and then walk up to confirm. Right now we're working with a zero of about 50 yards on the laser, but we did zero with the green laser. One of the things people have asked about, is it co-illuminated? Can you zero your green visible laser and still retain the ability to have your IR go in sync with it? The answer is kind of yes. You still have a little bit of variance, but from what I've seen, using it with 22, using it with 223 a little bit at night, it's not a very big difference. If you're going for high precision accuracy, you're gonna sense it, but if we're trying to engage silhouette sized targets, honestly, you're not gonna notice. So let's do some flood here. But guys, yes, it is rated for airsoft, again, simply because China regulations, US ITAR, there's a lot of things at play, so we can't just call it real steel rated. There is some politics going on here. But there it was. So I'm just a little bit low right now. But as you can see, we're firing under real steel conditions, 223, 556, under recoil, and we're honestly not seeing any kind of major shifts. Now, the other cool thing to note is I did put this on a Unity riser, and the reason for that is I wanted to get the heat away from the Peq. If you're using a tuck suppressor, if you're using a piston system like we're about to see with the SIG M13 TAC Ops, you have residual heat that's going to come up and it could melt the Peq-15. That's an issue in real life. That doesn't necessarily happen with just the airsoft quote unquote version. This is something you see with the real military version as well. Something that has been documented many times over on the AR boards, warning people, guys, you know, be careful if you're using a piston system. Same rules apply here. Now, we've shot one magazine through while we were walking. It was pretty warm, but thankfully, it's nice and cool up here because we get that little bit of space. So if you go with a tucked system, I highly recommend it. And when we take a look at the piston system of the SIG MCX M13, I really recommend going with something like the GBRS, even though I know a lot of guys are gonna hate it. All right, guys, so this comparison now we're gonna take a look at with the SIG MCX TAC Ops. I love this gun. I hate this gun. There's so many things about it that make me really mad, really sad, really happy, really angry. It's a whole mixed bag of emotions. And I'll talk about that more in another video when I do a follow-up for my last M13 video that most of you probably didn't see because it got very little views. But nevertheless, this gun it's a bit chunkier, it's heavier, but it's just a fun little 300 blackout. 300 blackout's known for being super quiet. A tuck suppressor, this is running the Paladin 300 with the HD conversion upgrade. But nevertheless, we are running a GBRS Hydra. And what I want you to see is that when I go up and to get in position, I'm already looking at my red dot very, very fast, very, very fast. So when I need to engage a target, I'm engaging at this level and I'm not stopping focusing with my nods. So GBRS Hydra plays a very particular role. So do I think it's for everyone who just gets it for the meme? No. But do I think it has a practical purpose for CQB, for fast acquisition, and especially for nod use? Absolutely. If you're running nods, you need to get your head above the rail as much as possible. I'm not caring about cheek weld because most of the time I'm gonna be passively aiming or I'm gonna be actively aiming. And with this, honestly, it's so much easier to aim with this than it is with the M4 with the Unity riser for the red dot. But let's see if we can get on some targets. Again, we're gonna walk out, engage the ID target. Once we get there, we got another silhouette about 50 yards out that we're gonna see if we can ring some steel. These are Supersonics, and the ammo today is 125 grain AAC from Palmetto State Armory. So we're gonna go ahead and engage. All right. And yep. So again, that switch is coming loose during recoil. And this is actually something that's fairly recent. I'm not sure if I've just got tolerances not set right. Maybe something's got a little bit too much tension on the wire, so recoil's bopping it. but it is definitely just constantly, that crane plug is just constantly coming undone during the recoil process, which is shutting that laser down. That's good to know for you guys that want to use this for something like your defensive weapon, or people who are saying it's not duty ready. Well, it doesn't kind of look like it is at this point. Let's see if it's going to stay on target this time. And we're going to go for the pass through, one ID target to the next. Go back on safe, and let's keep moving. So one of the nice features that we have about the M13 is there is a piston, and that's the deer cam that keeps blinding us. There's a piston that is switchable right here in the handguard. So when I'm switching from subs to supers, it's not a matter of having to get an Allen wrench out or worry about my gas system, trying to remember where it was. It is a simple push of a little lever switch, and we go back to whatever setting I need it to be. Now remember, this is the one that's JB welded, so if it does fall off under recoil, let's not blame Somogear too much. Let's blame me and my terrible welding skills. All right, for this, we'll try to engage. We've got a target here at 50 yards. Yep, that's the one at 50. So let's see how accurate our laser is, and let's see if we're on target. No ring, but let's see if we're on target with our optic anyway, to see if it's me or the target. Ooh, that looks pretty far off. So, what we are seeing with this in this case, and it could again because of the JB weld, but we're pretty high. And I mean, you're gonna see it in that because you got the laser view. You see where I'm aiming. That laser is probably a foot left, a foot high of the target and just going off into space. So not the best use for this, but again, don't hold this one too much accountable. It is the JB weld one, so it may not be the best example. However, in all of my testing so far, I've been very pleased with my zero repeatability when it came to 223, and when it came to 22, and when it came to 9mm. But speaking of 9mm, let's take a look at the Perst 4 from Sotac. Zeroed this Perst 4 a little bit ago, and like I mentioned, the MP5 is not the best example of a zero hold, simply because the rail on this thing is the BNT Tri-Light aluminum rail, and it wobbles so bad. But we did get a decent zero, and maybe it's gonna hold for us. All right, that looks pretty good, so I'm not gonna worry about that. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this into the IR mode. And again, I've shown y'all this in another video that kind of shows you at full power, it's pretty ugly, but when you tone it down a little bit, it actually looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and get her on. Hold for 3 seconds to be able to lock it into the on position. It's not a double tap. But you can see we get a full, nice, really not bad. Now again, this is at the lowest power setting. So before we shoot, it's HK, so we gotta give it the HK slap. Now, when you're working under nods, it's really important that you know your control of arms, because if you're not able to load and unload and do everything that you need to do with your rifle, pistol, whatever it may be, it's a different view under nod. You're all blurry close up. So you're not able to look down and check your controls. You really need to know what you're doing. So we're gonna go ahead and get into a position here. Try not to activate my white light. Okay. And I think we've got some still, and now I don't have a IR illuminator on this right now. So we're not gonna be able to do really far distances with this, but we are going to just see what we can continue to do. Now, like I said, we do have the capability to go even brighter. All right, and that's all the way down low. And then it's all the way up bright. And so with full power now, you kind of get, oh, you can't even, I don't know if you can see it on your side, but I can't even see the target because it just blooms so bad on full power. So let's go ahead and stop it all the way down. And we'll see if we can get us.
Hold low, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that was with your off.
All right, so I'm looking through the red dot right now, and the laser is, so let's turn that off. It's about a foot to the left. So
I think more testing is needed for the Sotac Perst 4. And that was the cheapest of the bunch, guys. So the Sotac you can get for around 120 bucks. It's stupid cheap. Maybe you can have fun with it. Maybe it's a good designator that you could just hold out and point. But I don't have faith in this laser at all. We'll try again. But no, it's way off. So watch. I will try and hit the steel out there with the optic. If I can see it. Okay. So I hit it with the optic, but you saw where I was aiming with the laser was almost 3 foot to the left. Now elevation was good, so good job laser for keeping the elevation, I guess. I can't blame 3 foot on a loose rail. I just can't. There's something about this laser that just does not hold zero. We haven't torture tested it a lot. We've definitely shot a decent amount of 9mm through it, but that's about it. We haven't shot any 223, 300 blackout, nothing like that, and the majority of our 9mm has been 147 grain suppressed. So, do I recommend this? Maybe if you're doing actual airsoft, well, no, because it's still full power and we don't want you to give someone LASIK for free. You know, charge them and then give them the LASIK. But I don't know. I want to love it because it looks really cool on the MP5 and it's got super great functionality. But would I use this? I don't know. It's probably just going to be a showpiece that I talk about, maybe use for demonstrations of lasers. But in reality, I would not trust this thing. Okay, guys, so this that you're looking, oh yeah, go ahead. This what you're looking at is the Peq-2A. It is on full power illuminator and full power laser. Does a really fantastic job of casting a nice shadow, or not shadow, but casting a nice illumination downrange. Now, when we compare it to the Somogear, you can see that the Somogear laser looks almost identical at first glance, which it pretty much is. They're both 20 milliwatt lasers, and I have to say that's pretty darn right. But we can notice that we have some zeroing issues between where the illuminator is and the laser is. That's been one of the complaints. I can kind of turn it around since it's in my hand right now. But you can also see this is the spread versus the Peq-2A. Now, if we look at the Peq-2A and we go ahead and spread it in its widest position to diffuse it, there we go. You get a lot more coverage. Now, of course, I can't spotlight like I can with mine downrange, but with the Peq-2A, we can also just go ahead and tighten it back down and we can spot just as well. Now, having that comparison, let's go ahead and play a little bit with the flood. This is as wide as the Somogear goes. Again, this is a Somogear on the right side, and we're gonna zoom it down, and that is as tight as it goes. Now it just looks like a little bitty ring. And we can see the difference in how they're offset. We go ahead and we open it back up. And we can see something that was interesting. Well, one, I don't know if you're seeing it, but there we go. We had a lot of junk on the lens just then. But our zero did actually change again with where the laser falls inside the illuminator. Now we do have to kind of keep these things moving because these are high full power and we don't want to burn any tubes or anything like that. All right, guys, so this is the comparison with the point of view, and we're looking at the Streamlight TLR VIR version 2. Important designation. The version 1 actually is compatible with tail caps, so primarily people are using those on pistol caliber carbines, like, you know, MP5 for example. That way you're able to use a tape switch. But this is a civilian power laser, so it's less than 5 milliwatts. We don't get that super nice laser beam, but man, it's so much nice to have this bright floodlight. I personally think that this is a great weapon light, especially if you're carrying a suppressed pistol. This is us running it on the Mark 23, so let's see if we can get the plate rack knocked down. We just did a quick zero. Here we go. All right, so that is the Mark 23 with the TLR VIR version 2. And remember, it's just a civilian grade laser, but there's something to be said about something that is a final product that is actually made and used for the military. All right, guys, so that about sums it up. This is a different style of video, and I actually spent quite a bit of money to make this happen. We had to buy the recorder, we had to shoot ammo. It took a lot of time, a lot of gas to get up to this range. So I really hope you guys appreciate the efforts and show the support. Leave comments for algorithms. Let me know your thoughts on these Chinese airsoft clones. Are they crap? Are they potential? Is the future there with them? Are we going to see final products? And to answer a question that I don't think we really talked about, but it was asked to Somogear, are they going to make a reinforced version that is a little bit more dependable, something that is made out of a metal body that's going to do well under heat? And they actually are making the Ingall right now, and with it, it is in an aluminum body originally, but he realized that he's putting too much reinforcement onto it because now what airsoft needs that much metal, what airsoft needs that much attention to detail. And so it's crossing this line where we are getting too close to the real thing for his comfort. So I think we're almost at what we're going to see as the pinnacle for Somogear. There are other companies out there who are making handmade full power clones that are made in aluminum bodies that are just absolutely second to none on build quality. Laser sights making some that are super high end, and then there's a couple companies making an Ingall that it probably takes about 12 weeks to come in. But guys, if you like this type of content, show some love to this video and we will come back out here and do this for you more often. If you don't like this content, leave hate in the comments just so that we can see it and not make more of this content and do something else that you guys do enjoy. But this is stuff that I enjoy, and night vision is a superpower that, again, everyone needs. I'm a firm believer in that. This night vision and some of the stuff that y'all have seen tonight came from Nicotia Systems. Show him some love over on Instagram. If you need anything night vision related, Taylor's your guy. He can hook you up. All these lasers was purchased by me, for me. I did not get sent anything, and I was not paid to do any reviews. This is just my honest opinion. If you want more information, leave me a comment with your question, and I'll let you know. Until next time, guys, stay frosty.
I turned it on right when you did it.
And the length of zero's off.
So it's shaking in your mount.
Yeah, so the mount, oh.
What if you could tighten it? See if it match.
Oh, hold on. I think it just, the JB weld may have just broke. Well, at the end of the video. All right, well, can you see it? Are you able to?
Yeah, I can see it. We'll hold tight oh, it's off.
It's off. So, take that off and see. But I think what's happened is, no, my JB weld still held. Yeah, so it came unscrewed. So I didn't torque this thing down too terribly much because I was worried about breaking my JB weld. I'll show a video B-roll of this and show you the damage and all right here in the video anyway. But it's not looking too good for the Somogear, at least for my welding job. But look, when it does fall off the gun, guess what? Bam, lightsaber. Yeah. All right.